What's the business equivalent?
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I haven't been doing it long enough to do that shit, man.
Okay. So you obviously have a lot of value to companies that want to do business around the world, say particularly China. Your celebrity has value in this world, right? People like whistling at you today. How do you personally separate what your celebrity brings and all the other thinking that you bring? And are you okay using your celebrity, or might there be times where you're like, you just want me for my image? I want to use sort of this new part of me. How do you
it depends. You know, I mean, it depends on the company. You know, there's certain companies that line up with what the brand represents, and then at those times you can kind of look at using a name and likeness to benefit the company, right? There are other things that are more investment focused, right? But you simply do the work. And you know, what I sit around and what I enjoy a lot is the branding aspect of it. I mean, I've been doing it for years now with Nike and so forth, and writing campaigns and coming up with the whole through line. And the best way to separate those things is to simply do the work. You can't sit here and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and try to convince people about it. You have to simply do the work. Mm-hmm. And over time, you'll build that credibility.
Right. So how would you judge your credibility right now when you go to VC meetings and you're giving them business advice, right? You just transitioned into this.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? So like when I came into the league and I sit down in a room and I'm speaking to players and other athletes and they're looking at me, I don't know what they're thinking about me, nor do I care. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I know the trust and the credibility comes in the work itself. Right. So when we sit around and we discuss the brand, we discuss the company, we discuss the story, we discuss who you are as a company, what do you represent, what do you stand for, and then in turn, how does that connect to the innovation that you're bringing in a product, and then how do those two things connect to human nature as a whole, and then how do you communicate those in an efficient way?
Human nature as a whole. So I was on the same stage last night with Reed Hastings, and he had this sort of magical equation, right? He said, how do we translate the money that we invest into the joy for our users? So what is your secret sauce of human nature?
Yeah, it's truth. It's absolute truth. You got to be true to who you are as a person. You understand that everybody's journey, like we sit in this room right now, everybody has a different journey how we got here, right? But there's also a through line that connects all of us, right? There's a through line. And so the trick really becomes in how do you communicate that very narrow focus in a way that connects that through line to every single person in this room.
Right.
And that's what I enjoy doing. That's the fun part.
So another part of what you're doing is Kobe Studios. Mm-hmm. I think trying to get those storylines to people. So give us some examples of where you can give truth to people about themselves.
Well, I mean, sports is for me, it's very easy to communicate that, right? So, the best way to do it, again, is just to give you an example. So what I alluded to earlier about not making that pass, right? You got to track that back to the way I grew up. I grew up in Italy, grew up by myself, relying on myself, and not trusting others because I'm in a foreign country and all sorts of stuff. So when you translate that to the game of basketball, of course, I'm much more comfortable relying on myself to shoot through a double team than I am to pass into somebody else because I can control the situation, right? So how do you communicate that through stories to raise the level of consciousness of the next generation of athletes? And I'm kids, I'm talking 9 to 12 years old, speaking about these very complex issues in a very simple and entertaining way.
Tell us what that means.
You simply entertain. You simply do it through story. So I've, again, not to geek out, but for the last 3 years,
we're a bunch of geeks.
I sit at home and now in the office and do nothing but write all day and outline all day and outline stories, outline sports mythological universe. And
wait, you tell me you're doing make superheroes?
Well, we'll be doing novels. We'll be doing films.
Kids aren't reading novels.
I think they will.
Yeah. So wait, you're writing a novel?
I think they will.
Is that news here? You're writing a novel?
I don't think so. Maybe it is. A lot of people don't really pay attention to what I have to say, so.
So what's the name of the novel?
Don't have one yet.
What's the plot of the novel?
Can't tell you that.
Okay. What's the purpose of the novel?
To inspire, but also to give very specific details. So like, I feel like we've dropped the ball. Take basketball, for example. I really feel like we've dropped the ball in teaching the game, right? So how can you take a 10-year-old and teach him strategy about the game of basketball, how to handle a double team, how to look at angles on the court. How can you do that in a very entertaining way where the kid doesn't understand he's learning something at a very, very high level,
right,
but still he's processing it. When I was a kid, to work on my left hand, I'd go home and I'd eat with my left hand, I'd brush my teeth with my left hand, I'd try to write my name with my left hand just so I get comfortable with that. Right? And those are little stories that we can bring to the masses.
But do you think that most kids today simply don't have the attention span to do that?
No, I don't think the stories are good enough, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, if the stories are good, kids will pay attention. If the story's horrible, then of course they're not going to pay attention.
What do you think about esports? A lot of talk about esports here today. I just may not get it. Like, if you want to play video games, okay. If you want to watch other people play video games, that just seems pretty lame to me.
Well, I mean, what I know so far is, what everybody's kind of saying about where this industry is going. I haven't really dove into it to be able to sit here and give you a really detailed answer or response to it. But I get it. I mean, it's a form of entertainment.
Sure.
It's looking at the sport being played through a different lens, but it's all entertainment.
Right. Okay. So, any other projects that you're working on from the storytelling perspective that you can tell us about? An opera, perhaps?
A what?
An opera, perhaps?
Nah.
No. Okay.
Nah, that's not. I can't. No.
You can't do that.
No.
What's the writing process like for you?
It's awesome. It's outlining. Outlining is the most fun part for me because you can't just say, okay, this is the through line, this is the main character. You have to be able to look at it and say, okay, who is the main character? Why are they the way that they are? Which leads back to their upbringing. Who are the parents? Where do they come from?
So that is mythology, right?
You got to go all the way back. You got to create the geography. You got to create the economics of the world that you create. I mean, it's like a whole thing. So I was thinking at first, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write a novel. It's great, it's fantastic. And then I start asking question after question, and 2.5 years later, I'm still outlining.
Wait, so let me get this. You were a playing NBA player and you were writing a novel.
Yeah, I mean, the last day, my last game, I was actually at the office till 4 o'clock, or 4:15, actually editing a bunch of short stories.
Right.
And lost track of time and looked at my watch and was like, oh, I better go home.
Right.
I got my last game to play.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
So, you spend a lot of time with these tech people. You're a truth teller. So give us your honest impressions of these people you meet. Like, what are the good parts and what are the bad parts?
I haven't really seen any bad part. I mean, the people that I've met with and talked to and deal with are all phenomenal. And they all have brilliant ideas. And they all believe that their product is going to bring something of value to the world. So I've actually enjoyed every single part of it. You get to learn so much about different industries.
Right.
And for a curious person, I can't think of a better place to be.
Right. So do you want to be known long term as Kobe Bryant, the storyteller and business person who happened to be a basketball player, or the basketball player who had a successful career thereafter?
Well, it depends who you talk to. I mean,
I'm talking to you.
Well, I'm saying, if you ask that question to a writer who's never seen a basketball game before, I would love to be known as a kick-ass storyteller.
Right.
If you talk to an athlete that doesn't like reading a book or anything, then I like to be known as a phenomenal basketball player.
Right.
Personally, I would love to be both, because I am both.
Right.
You can't shelf one for the other. I mean, the game has brought me to where I am today. The investment platform, the Bryant Livestream platform, the storytelling that we're doing is going to put me where I will be 20 years from now.
Okay, so where do you, if you had to take your best guess, 20 years from now?
Where am I going to be 20 years from now?
Are you running Time Warner or AT&T Time Warner or whatever the hell they're going to call it?
No, listen, man. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and running a public company and giving good standard political answers is not my strength.
Okay.
So,
We're not going to do that. All right.
when that happens, I will gladly step away and just deal with the.
But would you be happy doing, 3 or 4 great stories or film franchises or even 3 or 4 great novels? Like, that's a pretty good legacy.
Yeah, well, it depends how big they are, right? I mean, we really want to create something that is epic, and the patience of making sure every detail, making sure you're hitting the proper beats from
right.
The patience, the detail. So hopefully we can create something that is absolutely epic and timeless. And if it isn't timeless, honestly, we won't put it out. When we put it out, it's because we believe that it is the best work that we can possibly do.
Do you think that people looking for inspiration from sports figures, is that a reasonable approach for them? Can we learn something from sports figures, or is that just kind of a myth unto itself?
Depends how you look at it, right? So like if you making it up, if you take a kid, for example, that is tall and extremely lanky, right? Is very uncomfortable with his height, 12 years old, uncomfortable, walks around school, shoulders slouched because they're not comfortable in their skin, right?
Right.
Now you move them to the basketball court where now they don't want to play the post because they think it's not cool to play the post.
It's not cool to play the post anymore, they're on the wing.
Just saying.
Right.
So all the kids are playing the perimeter, right? And so how do you connect that story to human nature? Right?
I have no idea.
Right.
Tell me.
So if you take the kid and through sport, you teach the kid how to play the post. You teach them that there's beauty in playing the post. What you're saying to the kid is that there's beauty in being who you are. There's beauty in playing to your strengths. Mm-hmm. So now, through the sport, when the kid's walking down that hallway in school, he's not slouching his shoulders anymore, right? He's comfortable with who he is. He's accepting who he is. And you can absolutely do that through sport.
So what about adults here? These are all fully formed adults.
All right,
very successful.
Must be another tall person back there.
That's right. Get them down in the post. Get them down in the post. But for our group here, and for adults everywhere, we derive meaning from athletes because we sort of put our stories onto them, right? The struggles, right? It's a mythological undertaking unto itself. But what would you teach this group here tonight? If there's one thing they can take away from your experience, what is it?
Follow your passion first. First. When I retired from the game, I sat there asking kind of all the wrong questions. What's the biggest industry I can get into? And it's all the wrong stuff. And you got to sit there and ask yourself, okay, what am I truly passionate about? What do I enjoy doing? And when you feel that way, honestly, you feel like you've never worked a day in your life. It's the most fun thing in the world. You get up in the morning excited about what you're doing. And you got to be really honest with yourself about it. If you wake up in the morning and you're dreading going to work, do something else. Right. Do something else. And those are hard decisions to make, but when you make those decisions, it's a very liberating experience, and you find out that the rewards will come.
All right. So are you going to check the scores of tonight's games, or are you going to let it go?
I have no championship on the line. I have absolutely no reason to check the scores.
All right. So the transition is complete?
The transition is complete. Well, we're working on it.
Wait. So you're working on it, meaning you can't let it go entirely just yet? I mean, you love the game.
Dude, what the hell? Where'd you pull that from? No, I mean the transition in the sense of moving into this new industry.
I thought you meant the transition away from basketball.
No. I appreciate the reach.
Okay.
But no,
I'm a storyteller out here. Just a storyteller.
There's storytellers, and then there's, I'm not into fiction. That's not. But there's the two industries, right? The investment industry, the storytelling industry. Those are the two businesses that I'm absolutely locked in and focused on.
Right. Well, you're at peace, and I think for a lot of people, seeing someone go through that transition is a point of inspiration. So thanks, Kobe Bryant, for joining us this evening.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
very much. Thank you very much indeed, Kobe. Thank you, Dennis, for a fascinating conversation. Thank you all for staying through what's been a fun-filled, packed, extended, I have to say, extended evening. Thank you. And that startup competition went on so long that I think that 4 of the contestants have already completed successful IPOs. But we went on so long that Steph Curry has already retired and started his own investment bank. But anyway, thank you very much. It was wonderful. It was fascinating, inspiring to see all of those terrific entrepreneurs. Thank you to our judges who did such a wonderful job. Won't keep you any longer. We begin with breakfast tomorrow at 7 o'clock. The program begins at 8 o'clock. And please now join me for cocktails hosted by Kate Hudson and my colleague Christina O'Neill, editor of WSHA Magazine. Have a great night.
So, thanks everyone for tuning in for the Kobe thing. Right now, next, Kate Hudson, the actor, she's hosting a party, so we got to party with her. What you guys think? Could you guys hear kind of okay? I guess you guys could hear from Kobe. There's pretty good speakers right here. I can walk around a little bit. Got some free headphones today to just give it out. Let me see what's up here.
We have 2 bags that were left over on the restaurant lawn that we have here behind.
Hey Shaq, how's it going? You just joined at the end, so you might have to watch the replay.
The bag over at the restaurant lawn. It might be over here behind us. Thank you.
So we're gonna go to the little cocktail party. I'm gonna point my little camera around.
Maybe they went out to.
I guess there's gonna be some DJ here. It's about to get lit like this fireside chat right here.